Welcome to Equal Entertainment. I'm Tracy E. Gilchrist. The new Netflix series Beef has loads of buzz and is getting praise for its AAPI representation and its relatable themes like road rage, social media, and mental health. Netflix celebrated by bringing people together for a Release Your Rage retreat in Los Angeles. The event gave guests a chance to practice their Zen with therapeutic gardening, a sound bath, and engaging conversations. GLAD VP of Communication Anthony Allen Ramos and image architect La Roche shared how their personal journeys connect to beef.
Before me, I've never existed in this world, and I became a vision or an example of what's possible. And I think for me, that's the most beautiful thing, because now people who look like me have a reference point. They can say, I know I can do it because Law did it. And I actually met a young boy in New York. He walked up to me, he's just had words. He said, I know I can because you did.
Beef is, on paper, it sounds so exciting. But for me, as someone who's Asian American, to see a story that is so exciting, so unique, but also something that we all can relate to when it comes to rage, road rage, and beyond. It's always so special to see representation for Asian American actors and stories. And so that for me was super exciting.
Beef is streaming now on Netflix. I had the chance to speak with series leads Ali Wong and Stephen Yun. The full interview is streaming now on advocatechannel.com. Single Drunk Female is another show I'm a big fan of. It follows 20-something alcoholic Samantha Finch as she moves back home with her mom after flaming out in New York, and it follows her sobriety journey. What most people don't realize is that it's somewhat based on real events. Series creator Simone Finch says her journey and struggles with alcohol inspired the story behind Samantha's. I had the pleasure of speaking with Simone about this and LGBTQ plus identity in the show and more. Hi, welcome Simone Finch, creator and executive producer of Single Drunk Female on Freeform. Thank you for chatting with me today.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited.
Yeah, well, it's a pleasure. I love the series. I'm almost all the way through season 2, but not quite. And I wanted to just begin by saying congratulations. It's terrific. And then kind of asking you a little bit about your background and how you arrived at Single Drunk Female so that we get a little overview.
Yeah, I am an alcoholic. I don't know if you got that from the story yet. I've been sober. I'll have 9 years on Saturday, which is very exciting.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Early birthday, God willing. And I started writing it kind of as a hot mess narrative. This was in 2012 when the hot mess was the opposite of the Manic Pixie Dream Girl, if you remember that. She was the polar opposite. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, she's a hot mess and whatever. And then I got sober, and then I realized it's about, first of all, it was about me, and second of all, it was about an alcoholic getting sober. And it kind of went from there. And as I've gotten soberer, the story has sort of shifted a little bit as I get more perspective away from when I was new. Yeah. And that's kind of the genesis of the story.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. So the story follows Sam. I don't have to tell you, but who is newly sober. And in season 2, well, she's been sober for a while now. She's really living in her sobriety. And we get to see her really kind of living through some difficulties with her mom. She's newly dating and, some stuff at work. So she's and losing her sponsor. So these are big life changes, and we see her moving through these as a sober person. Would you talk a little bit about the importance of showing that journey of taking on and handling big issues without the numbing agent?
Wow, that's a great question. I think that when one gets sober, at least when I got sober, I thought, okay, as long as everything stays the same, I'll be able to stay sober. Yeah. And the thing is, change is constant, right? And life happens. I think this season is life on life's terms and being comfortable with the discomfort. Mm. And I think that Sam has a lot of losses and a lot of, again, her mother and everything else with her sponsor that she kind of gets away from it for a while and sponsors herself, so to speak. That's what we call it when we get away from our sponsor. But she finds her way back, and I've had moments in the program where I've done the same thing. A lot of people I know have done the same thing. So, but experiencing big things in sobriety is important because you know you can walk through it.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. One of the things that I think is interesting is that the series is quite timely. We've seen over the past few years, well, first people were really kind of coming to terms with their own relationships to alcohol, especially during the pandemic. And, increasingly we see dry January or sober September or all these kind of moves for people to create worlds that are not, involving alcohol or centered around alcohol. Would you talk a little bit about the timeliness of Sam's story? While a lot of society is rethinking their relationship with alcohol.
So when I wrote this, there was no way to know there would be a worldwide pandemic where everyone would drink, right? The timing couldn't have been better.
Right.
So
It came out in the middle.
right, it's kismet, right? It was like divine intervention.
Yeah.
When people were drinking the quarantinis, I was jealous. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I was like, why can't I partake in this? But obviously I did not. I think alcohol is poison.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are reevaluating their relationship with it because of COVID, but also post-COVID, because now we're sort of back to our normal lives. And if you're continuing to drink the way you were during COVID, well, that's not really going to work if you're going to the office every day.
Right.
So I think that's sort of the reckoning that's happening right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Well, it's a big piece of the season really revolves around Sam's mom, Carol, played by Ali Sheedy. And Carol, I grew up in Connecticut. Carol is a very New England mother. She's nitpicky and a little bit controlling and kind of unwilling to examine her role in anything. So now you have her dipping her toe in a sort of Al-Anon type of situation. And would you talk about the importance of depicting family members dealing with others' alcoholism and how that relates to their own issues?
Well, alcoholism is a family disease.
Yeah.
It starts at home. And I think that we forget that it's not just the alcoholic, right, that suffers. It's everyone around the alcoholic, friends, family, even coworkers. I know that when I was drinking, I hid my drinking a lot. So people didn't know what was going on with me, but I also isolated from them. So I wasn't giving people everything that I could give. And so Al-Anon is such an amazing program, and I just wanted to show how it works and sort of why Carol would seek that, even though she really didn't want. She was forced to go, but sometimes even when we're forced to do something, it can be a healthy choice.
Well, I also want to touch on the character of James a little bit, who is struggling with his sobriety, and sobriety is not a straight line always. So would you talk about why it's important to show that story as well?
I myself, the first 6 months of my recovery was in and out. And I wanted to show that because, they say that staying sober is easier than getting sober. And I wanted to show that idea here with James. Not everyone stays sober all the time. Not everyone stays sober for 10, 15, 20 years. People go out after 20 years. There's all sorts of variables, and I just think it's important to show that recovery has all different aspects. And I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying they're different, and we should try not to judge addicts and alcoholics who are really trying desperately to get sober.
Simone Finch, creator and executive producer of Single Drunk Female, thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Thanks for having me. It was really wonderful. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you so much to Simone for stopping by. Samantha's story in the series is truly inspiring, and the show is very funny. The second season of Single Drunk Female returns April 12th on Freeform. You can visit the Advocate Channel wherever you stream for more interviews with entertainment's biggest actors, producers, and figures. I'm Tracy E. Gilchrist, and that's what's happening in entertainment.